that doesn't know me, I'm Dawn. I am founder of Press Fresh Collective, and today we have Jenny Powers from Blue Avenue Music Group joining us, and she is just phenomenal. We have worked together for several years now, actually, which is crazy to say, but she is just kind of a powerhouse in like everything she does for artists, which spans the gamut. I can't even begin to just describe how much she does for artists. So I'm going to let Jenny introduce herself and share a little bit about what she does, and then we will dive into the meat and potatoes of this, which I think is going to be fun. So Jenny, take the floor.
All right. Well, I'm Jenny Powers, CEO and founder of Blue Avenue Music Group. We do artist management and marketing, and I work with hold on, my sound is good for you guys.
It does sound a little muffled, so yeah.
Let's see.
How's that?
Oh, much better. Perfect.
Perfect. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I work with Ari Hurston as well in his music marketing course, where I've been moderating that for the last 5 years with him and Lucidius. And, you know, I'm on the marketing committee of which is a nonprofit organization which helps young artists learn how to grow their careers from, you know, the very simplest of things, like the very beginning when you first create a band and what do you do from there. So all those fun things. And recently, Lionel and I have been working on really trying to figure out ways that we can help the artists that we work with, along with other artists in you know, every aspect of, you know, the music industry. And so we've really been working on a lot of content creation and touring and helping artists build a brand identity so that they're not having to rethink their entire process every time they put out a new album. Like, oh, I'm a brand new artist now. Like, no, you're the same artist. You just have a new product with a new vision. So really trying to simplify those things to help artists along.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Which actually kind of takes us into what we're doing today is this is going to be quite different from our usual industry chats. This is going to be super interactive. So the artists that joined, you get a plus for joining live because you get to interact with Jenny and like actually work on your content and things like that. But we are doing this as a workshop. So Jenny's going to be taking us through pretty much kind of those beginning stages, I would say, right, of the brand identity, and just setting you up with some great content to use for 2024, especially. I know a few of you joined have some new releases coming out, so this will be a really great thing that you can not only use for your new releases, but kind of implement and reuse for future releases as well, if you follow the model that Jenny has for you. So yeah, Jenny, I'm going to let you kind of take the floor and like let me know if I need to pop in with anything. But for those of you that join live, like definitely take advantage of having Jenny at your disposal right now. She's going to be sharing a ton of really great stuff. I think she's got kind of some freebies and stuff in there for you as well. So like ask questions, jump in live, like treat this as if you were calling Jenny one-on-one, and use her to your advantage for this next hour that we have her. But yeah, Jenny, you take the lead and let me know what you need from me in terms of sharing screen or anything like that.
Okay. Well, Lionel and I are going to tag team this together. Lionel,
Hello.
we're on, you know, some of our biggest clients. Like right now we have, you know, 4-time Grammy nominated artists that even though they had millions and millions of streams on one platform, they had 0 social media. And so we've really like rebranded him from ground up. He's an award-winning filmmaker, and now he's like a social media content creation king. So
Yeah. Sure.
I love
Check
that.
that box.
It's-
Too, that's for sure.
It's really honing in on the things that you like to create and figuring out what that is and making it to where it's not a chore. It's just like a part of your life. So you're like, oh yeah, I do like making content like this. And I do like experimenting and doing this. So, those are the things. And what I'm going to do is just like Lionel lead off with that first portion of what we were doing. And I'm going to chime in with the examples on what we do and how we kind of execute on that. So,
all right, cool. So I'm Lionel. I work with Blue Avenue. I started doing content and small client relations, and it's grown into this big, beautiful relationship with Jenny and Blue Avenue, and we've blossomed into this multi-client, multi-agency. Just it's expanding every day. I'm excited to see what happens in 2024 with our new community and courses that we're setting up. So going off of what Dawn said, that you guys have some releases coming out, and that this is very good information for not just releasing new music, but also just overall growth, evergreen growth, as we call it at Blue Ave. And thinking of this as the structure of your brand and your content to build really anything off of, a rebranding, new releases, new singles, touring, like the entire thing encompasses around what we're gonna go over here. So it's not just for releasing, it's not just for evergreen, it's pretty much for all of it. So the first thing we always do with our clients is we have them do what we call a content dump. We provide them with a template of folders in either G Drive or Dropbox, and it is broken down into subjects and subfolders to organize their life of content. Oftentimes when we have clients struggling to brand themselves or come up with theme ideas of like, what is my brand? What are my colors? What are these things? We have them start with this kind of rudimentary practice where we have them dump their phone into a content folder, right? And we're like, give us all the stuff that you're willing to share with us, and let's go over it together. And the reason behind that is because oftentimes we don't see who we are, right? We capture these moments that mean things to us. We pick up our phones and take pictures of things that move us, where it shows, and the favorite part of your song's coming up and you record just that part. These things are building blocks of who we are as just humans, right? How we function, the things we like, the things we dislike. We can learn a lot about ourselves by going through our captured content from our phones. Oftentimes that's where we start because we can find, we call them pillars. We like to find 3 pillars as the pillars hold the whole thing up, right? So we find 3 pillars generally with our clients through this content dump. And some examples, I'm not sure, Jenny, did you drop the Michael example in there?
So the first thing I did was put the content links in here.
Perfect.
And those are broken down into subfolders. And one of the things that we do is like literally just go through anything that you've captured and just kind of categorize it into these different things. And you don't have to think too much about it, but eventually you'll notice like you have your own patterns. And it's like, okay, I like to take still pictures of food, or I like to do really captivating videos where I'm walking and then I pan up. So, looking at these different things, I have one where I just go out in nature because I live in South Carolina, and we're in a place called the Low Country. And so we have a lot of state parks with marshes and birds and all these like interesting places that you could go and walk. And so I definitely take a lot of pictures of that. And so we just categorize that into one folder because eventually we can come back and utilize it as like B-roll in our brand story so that we're not always trying to think about, oh my gosh, I have to create this, I have to create that, where we can look at what we already have and batch it into ideas, get it scheduled, and then later on down the road, you can, create stories through like your day in the life of, without worrying about what kind of content is going to be posted, because by doing this exercise, you're going to figure out what kind of content you're going to post.
And I think a good segue off of that is talking about example A. Jenny, in our form, it's called sample A, and the good examples. This one is a great example. This is also our Grammy nominated artist that Jenny spoke of. When we started with him, he was working with someone that had him understanding that he should use stickers on his reels and like all these very kind of odd things. And so when we rebranded him, we started with the content dump and the idea of pillars. How do we build something off of what you stand for, what moves you, and what you believe in, right? Mm-hmm. And so his were very powerful. He's a Native American flautist, 4-time Grammy nominated, does some like kind of lo-fi beat stuff as well. Super, super amazing music. But we had to re-diagnose like what the problems were with what he was creating. And it felt like for him, it felt very generic, off-brand. Those words came to mind for him, inauthentic. And so we dove into his pillars naturally. And so the pillars that we came up with for him were spirituality, connection, and Native American culture. And so from there, what we do with these pillars is we understand that these are the ultimate themes, right, of the content moving forward, the umbrella of the theme of the brand. And so as you can see in this example, we use some kind of etheric filter. He's in nature, he's playing the flute. I believe at one point, maybe even is barefoot, maybe not. Anyways, hits all the marks of his pillars, right? And this is just one example of the styles of representing his pillars that we did. Some of the other things that I would suggest looking at his entire profile. It's pretty amazing. But another thing is he's very comfortable in his studio and represents the creativity and the curation of his own music. So a lot of his content is in studio with his flutes behind him and his Native American drums and his synths and just hanging out. And so it's very personable, very intimate, and very consistent. Everything that we go through with him has been consistent and tested and tested and tested and refined and refined and refined. So this is a great example of finding your 3 pillars, your artist persona from the content dump, right? And Jenny, anything you want to put at the end of the content dump piece?
Hold on. I will tell you, like, we don't expect you to go through this exercise and have it right away.
No.
I did this exercise and it took me 6 months of looking at it to go, okay, now I understand the things that I want to discuss with people, the things things I want to share and contribute to people in a social platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think like, okay, step 1, check, done, and we've got it figured out. Like, that's not how it always happens.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think a really good way to look at that is, we use the content dump as a means of connecting dots, right? You see, like Jenny was talking about, she noticed that she was always in the lowlands taking pictures. That was something she noticed. It's connecting the dots to seeing yourself from almost a third person aspect. You're looking at yourself from an outer lens, and you're saying, okay, nature. She goes to a lot of shows.
mm-hmm.
She spends a ton of time with her family, right? Those were like 3 things. And they all connected dots, and they all kind of got put in their own little compartment at the end of the day. After we had it all, we were like, wow, these are really just 3 categories. So that's what we mean by looking at your content and trying to connect the dots to the commonalities of what you're capturing on your phone, whether it's video or stills. And then through connecting the dots, also, on the other side of it, just a thought process wise, definitely thinking like, what gets me up every morning, right? Like, why do I get out of bed? Why do I? And if it's more music specific, you want to like hone it down to just music specific. Why do I go into the studio? Why do I sit down and write? And start asking yourself those questions to try and uncover those emotions and those driving forces. And I would assume with that exercise of asking those deeper questions about your purpose in doing these things and doing the content dump, you'll start to see those commonalities in both of them, and the dots will start connecting a bit easier possibly as well. Definitely a great practice to get the juices flowing on seeing yourself from the outer lens though. All right, let's see here. Moving on to just kind of introducing, first of all, any questions on what we just spoke about in that first little section? Okay, just pop on, speak up. We don't bite, I promise. All right, guys. So defining your brand, right? So like, what does that mean? So we're using the content dump, we're using the thought process and the deep questions about why we do things to start defining who we are. And that's ultimately going to be our brand, right? Because we want it to represent who we are, what we stand for, the things we like, the things we don't like, right? We want it to be a part of our brand. So with that, I think one of the best ways to like, how do I take this understanding of I connected all the dots and I have these things, but like, how do I make that into a brand? What does that even mean, right? So the best way, I believe, and Jenny, you can disagree or agree, I think she does agree though, is bringing to the table 3 examples of accounts that you're in love with, right? And maybe they're not necessarily, a music brand, or you can pick, it doesn't have to be specific. Definitely, like, if you pick 3 music brands that you're like super into, it's probably gonna be a little easier to connect the dots. But taking things from your favorite accounts can be done on any level. So taking your 3 top accounts, your reference tracks, so you go into the studio, you go to a producer with reference tracks oftentimes, and you say, hey, I have this song and I want to make this song sound like that, right? So it's the same concept. You take these 3 accounts and you're like, hey, I like these 3, let's smash them together with a bit of me in the middle and make my beautiful brand. You take the smashing me in the middle part is the stuff that you learn from the content dump and the deep thoughts about why you do things, right? That's the you part. So now you start implementing that into the facets of their brands that you enjoy. It is oftentimes not about reinventing the wheel. It's seeing a wheel that works and replicating that wheel. Oftentimes that can be like one of the biggest hangups is like, we all think we have to just like create this thing from literally nothing, and it's generally been done before, and we can take example from great people who have done a good job too. So definitely.
Wait, just when just to show how we did this on my end, I was trying to find, I did I found 2 accounts that I really like. One is Heather Party, and she does like entertainment talk show stuff. And you'll be able to see, like, she has this nice blue color here in the background. And blue is my favorite color, so we were able to get things set up. So you'll see my background here. And then we worked with Lionel to show us the right types of settings to use on our phones and our cameras, so that when I start pumping out my additional content, it'll look similar to this page. And then I have another account, which is more of like mainly AI stuff that I want to implement into what I do. So just having at least one reference to go off of, or 2 to 3, which is what we encourage, really helps identify, like, what do you want your backgrounds to look like in your socials, and the types of topics that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and I think another good point with that too is, learning. If we're sitting in the seat of like, I don't know how to brand, I don't know what the next step is, I don't know what the first step is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, visual aid is going to help us get there. And what I mean by that is, like, Jenny went to that profile and was like, whoa, right? I want that. I want that. I love the blue. She even got colors out of it, right? And so I think that taking out of, the reference tracks, the reference accounts, if you will, is you don't know what you're going to take out of it. And oftentimes why I say 3 is because if you take like handful here, handful there, like, you're done. You're done. Just recreate it with you and you're done. So I think that don't think like, I have to be looking for this or I have to be looking for that. Just pick ones that you like and then diagnose those.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's a good point. Let's see here. Okay, great. So that kind of takes me into the next part is, part of branding is consistency, right? And consistency starts with making some choices.